and suddenly I felt nothing. I couldn't cry, so once again, I couldn't sleep.
So the giants now they're ravaging the world, and they're just making a mess of things. And that's when God decides it's got to stop. We got to start over. And then he wipes it away with the flood. But the book of Enoch expands on all of that and has Enoch going up to heaven to speak to God. And that's heresy to say, because heaven's not supposed to be a place. Like, mortal man can't go to heaven. It certainly can't come back. But Enoch did. And he was specifically taken there. I think he was taken there by Uriel and taken up there in a chariot of fire. And then Enoch is walking around heaven, but he's describing a place where he's seeing tall beings of light going about their business, and the walls are covered with how he describes as emeralds that are just blinking lights on and off. And he talks about how he can see all of the earth, and he describes how he can see how the winds are made, and I can see every lake and river on the earth. And when you think of heaven, you think of, like, clouds in the sky, but Enoch said that there's a roof, there's a ceiling, and everything is shiny. And what it sounds like he's describing is a spacecraft, if you read the book. Like, if you read the book through a modern lens, it's like, this guy is on a UFO, is where Enoch is. So he's up there, and they take him all around the cosmos. And this is all in the book. He describes the solar system, and he's told the Earth goes around the sun in 364 days, which we weren't supposed to know any of that then in the book of Enoch.
A short but unsettling video uploaded to TikTok by user Toe2 for You has gone viral after capturing a scene that left many viewers shocked and disgusted. The video's text overlay reads, "This is the last time I go to a Walmart near Detroit," showing a man inside the store's meat section casually eating raw meat directly from a packet. He appears unfazed by his surroundings, as though what he's doing is completely normal. The bizarre scene evokes thoughts of a zombie feasting on human flesh. So, what would you do if you came across this at your local grocery store?
Everything you know, every star, every planet, every breath you take exists inside time. But what if one day, time itself runs out? Physicists believe our universe has a clock, and it's ticking. Right now, stars are burning fuel, galaxies are drifting apart, and black holes are swallowing matter. Slowly, entropy, the law of disorder, is rising. In billions of years, all the stars will die. No light, no heat, just endless black. They call it the heat death of the universe. At that point, time itself loses meaning, because without change, without movement, what is time? Nothing. But here's the part that shakes the mind. Some theories suggest that at the end of time, space could collapse, folding everything back into a single point, a big crunch, and from that point another big bang, another universe. Another time. Others whisper something stranger. What if time doesn't end? What if it loops? Every event, every life, every moment repeats eternally. You may have lived this exact moment before, and you may live it again forever. So the question isn't just what happens at the end of time. It's this: when the last second ticks away, does reality end? Or does it begin again?
Why isn't this marked off and taped off as a crime scene? And why is this guy in the white shirt taking the most very important camera down? What do you think is the most very important camera there? Why is he taking it down? Well, Here's why. Because it's not a crime scene. A crime didn't take place here, and that's not a camera. Now, before I tell you what it is, I want you to get a real good look at it as he's taking it down. Anybody figure out what it is yet? Okay, here's what it is. It's called a hologram projector. And if you don't believe me, you can go look them up online. And they're not cheap. They're not cheap. Usually $20 to $60, $70, $80,000 for these things. And they come in different varieties. Now, Hollywood calls them hologram stage projectors. Now, you see how Charlie's little tent there is a perfect square? And as you can tell, it's 10 foot squared, 10 foot all the way around on each square, and it's about 9 foot tall. That's because it has to be for the projection to work. Now, let's explain.
For smaller spaces, the projectors can be configured with mirrors to elongate the projection path and maintain picture integrity. Eyeliner displays ideally require a minimum footprint of 10 feet square and a height of 9 feet to show full-size human figures. What you are seeing is a reflected image which is so true and realistic to the original, it has become known as a virtual image.
Because it is a hologram stage projection that you guys were watching.
These performers are holograms.
Every series, we take one step closer to achieving all of the sci-fi dreams.
It's pretty cool. You'll never have to miss a gig again. The gig can come to you.
It's all smoke and mirrors. The world is a stage, people. Get over it. You've been lied to.
Like this, it's nothing, okay? It's my burn. No, it's just like this.
For our sound recordist, it was also a shocker. He then took our newspaper outside and showed us how chi can also be used to set things on fire.
Emissary, over 2 meters tall, carved from basalt, origin unknown.
This Guardian's tipping at 850 kilos, stabilized with guidelines.
I count 7 horns! This is nothing like Earth fauna!
Steady, easy, up an inch. Load steady, approximately 700 kilos, give or take.
Bronze thickness meters deep. Wingspan nearly 3 meters.
At the smallest scale of reality, the universe isn't made of matter the way we think. It's made of probabilities, possibilities, and choices. All happening at once. Quantum theory tells us every particle is a wave of potential until you look at it. The moment you observe, it collapses into one reality. But what about the others? Where do they go? Some scientists believe they don't vanish. They split. Every decision, every quantum event may open a doorway to another version of reality. A parallel world, just as real as this one, unseen, untouchable, but existing side by side. Imagine billions of invisible doors all around you. Every time you flip a coin, every time light bounces off your skin, the universe chooses and splits. You walk through one door, but infinite versions of you walk through the others. And here's the mind bender. Quantum computers are already using this. By harnessing those ghostly possibilities, they can solve problems no human could ever touch. It's like they're peeking through doors we can't even see. So maybe the universe isn't one place. Maybe it's a hall of infinite doors, and you've only ever stepped through one.
وينه؟ ها؟
شلون كبيرة اقرب لك في شيء شايف.
هذا حتى تصوير بعد ما يلوح.
شايف شيء انا راح ارجع بحي المعلمين يا شباب. ها؟ وصل حي المعلمين شو
ولا يطيح هذا هو هذا مستوى.
لا والله نزل مو طبيعي. شوفه طبعا دي تتقاله والله في شيء شاكل. اذا صار انفجار هو هذا شيء من السماء.
You're getting your f***ing shoe off! Stop it!
This old Karen was harassing the passenger in front of her, insisting on resting her feet on the seat, even though someone was already sitting there. The other woman refused since the elderly lady's seat had enough space. Even after being politely asked to stop, she wouldn't listen.
You were actually harassing me. You were touching me without my consent. Do you realize that? I'm sorry, sweetheart. And this is up until I decided to sit here. Your feet were in your space. Please, thank you. I think you should stop trying for her. You decided to move your feet and touch me. Get your feet off of me!
At this point, the woman could no longer hide her frustration to the old Karen, because no matter how nicely she asks, she still won't listen.
You're touching me. Get the f off of me! You're getting your f***ing shoes off! Stop it!
And luckily, the conductor arrived with the police, and that's when the situation finally calmed down.
It is very hard to listen to that call, to that 911 tape, without becoming somewhat unnerved. It actually bothered me the first time that I heard it.
Tender County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
I'm driving on 210. I just crossed the Black River, and I thought I saw a guy standing on the side of the road bleeding.
Okay, where are you at, sir?
I'm on 210. I just crossed the Black River. I'm heading towards 53 East. I just passed Patriots Watch.
Okay, so you're over near Morse Creek?
Yes.
Okay. And did you saw a man standing on the side of the road? What was that, sir?
That's not human! That's not human!
Sir, are you okay, sir?
There's something in the bed of my truck!
Okay, what's in the road?
No, it's not in the road, it's in my truck! In the bed!
There's something in the bed of your truck?
Yes, ma'am, I just turned on my bed lights for my truck and there's something in my bed.
Okay, sir, when you say something, what do you mean?
I just knocked it off of the bed of my truck and went over my roof.
Okay, what was it?
According to the CAD notes and the deputy reports, this thing jumped into the back of his pickup truck and began to actually beat on the top of the cab of his truck. You could actually hear something beating on the top of the truck. The caller stated that it was beating and scratching on the top of the cab of his truck. He actually stated that he was able to engage his bed light and was able to somewhat identify this object that was in the back of his truck. At some point, he was able to slam on his brakes, and the force of inertia actually threw this thing out over his hood and onto the highway, where this thing stood up in the roadway, made its way to the wood line, and disappeared in the woods.
They can see everything about you, they can see everything about what your device is doing, and they can do whatever they want with your device. You, on the other hand, owned the device. Well, rather, you paid for the device. But increasingly these corporations own it, increasingly these governments own it, and increasingly we are living in a world where we do all the work, right? We pay all the taxes, we pay all the costs, but we own less and less. And nobody understands this better than the youngest generation.
Well, it seems like our data became a commodity before we understood what it was. It became this thing that's insanely valuable to Google and Facebook and all these social media platforms. Before we understood what we were giving up, they were making billions of dollars. And then once that money is being earned and once everyone's accustomed to the situation, it's very difficult to pull the reins back. It's very difficult to turn that horse around.
beautiful. Where's the birds?
How does that happen right when I'm recording too, by the way? That never ever happens, but first of all, that's gonna be annoying. Okay. Wow, this thing has a mind of its own. Look at this. It doesn't want me to get a clear video of it. I'm gonna walk in here. Look at my other hand, it's doing nothing. I'm not turning any lights off. This is insane right now. Okay, there it is. I'm keeping it locked in this room. It's kind of like a dungeon. Stupid light. Hopefully it's just the light, not anything going on with this thing. Yeah, here's where I'm gonna keep it and do some experiments. I'm gonna get some good pictures of just the markings. And I'll put those in the video too, for everybody to look over if you want. And yeah, hopefully it's pretty secure in here. I'm gonna see if it just needs to be turned. Whatever.
This is my city, that's right! Take off your mask! Take off your mask! What? Inside of your houses, everyone, do not come out! Stay in your houses! Hi everyone, I am here in West Chicago right now on 59 and Forest Avenue. This morning we have received reports that ICE is coming, and I have seen them, masked people, masked individuals. We don't know who they are. We are making sure that the community knows their rights. Stay inside of your house. Do not answer the door unless there is a warrant. If you are an ally, come out with a camera, take pictures, record, get the license.
Herbert Walker was the guy that Hal Puthoff and a bunch of these scientists, he brought them together and said, we have recovered a crashed UFO more than one occasion, and we have a back engineering program, and we're considering disclosure to the American people. I want you to list the positives the positive impact of society and the negatives.
Yeah.
And they did it with quite a few different scientists, and they all had more negatives than positive.
If they came out with this information,
Exactly.
to share this information, what would be the effect on society?
Yes.
More
And
negatives than positive.
More negatives than positives.
Because?
Disruption of religion, government,
How does
economy.
that disrupt religion?
Well, I mean, it depends
I understand
on your
how it
religion.
does. I just don't.
Depends on your religion, and depends on where these things are from and what is happening. What do we
In the
know?
Bible, Ezekiel has golden chariots from the sky.
Exactly. Yeah, and a wheel within a wheel. Yeah, the Ezekiel stuff sounds like a UFO encounter. And it's not the only version of that in ancient texts. In the ancient Hindu texts, they have vimanas, these things that are flying through the sky. Like, what are those things? In the Rig Veda, even in the Bhagavad Gita, there's all these depictions of these things that sound like you're talking about a spaceship, or at the very least some kind of technology. Like this thing about the Nephilim, like that the gods mated with women and created men who are monstrous. Boy, doesn't that sound like aliens came down and genetically manipulated primates and created human beings? That's a version of it that you could imply from the text. It's all really weird stuff, man. Like really weird. If you found out that was all true, it would probably change everything about society. And this is what Herbert Walker and those guys decided after. So Hal Puthoff was explaining it to me on the podcast, like how they put a numerical value to each thing. I'm like, like we were that close?
Right.
Are you comfortable explaining? I know there's a police report and all that, but just, the kind of thing that you experienced when you were going through the whistleblowing process, such as a break into your home. Will you just tell us about that?
Yeah, and I think a good place to start is there's just a brief history lesson. The term gaslighting comes from the practice of intelligence. It's driving people insane by messing with their lives in a way that can never be proven and makes the person even question if something is acting against them. So in situations like that, like the Stasi is most infamous in our recent history for practicing this, it's almost worse for the victim of such tactics to go public. Experiences that I've had like that, there's so many that I know I can never prove, and almost even more that I don't know what they were. But I guess one of the first and the worst was having our home broken into while my wife and I were there sleeping with our animals. Just a normal weeknight. It was very shocking to slowly wake up and realize over the course of the morning what had happened. And knowing that these people were in my home and could have done anything they wanted to at any time. You remember being touched like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's an official, this is, over the years of knowing you, this is like, there's an official police report about this. And, some of this happened to a lot of people like Lazar back in the day, these strange break-ins to the home. As you said, it's almost worse to report it publicly because that's kind of the tactics at hand. But one of the things that, if it's okay to talk about, I mean, they laid out family identifications as if they're photographing it and smashed something of great value, emotional value to you. It was not a robbery. It was a message. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I don't want to, cross any lines of sort of privacy here, but yes, personal documents and personal identification documents were left out in a way to indicate that not only were they in the house long enough to gather such things, but clearly, this isn't a robbery. As for personal effects, it was a very clear message. I had, at the time, the remains of my grandfather with us, and those were removed from the house and left next to the garbage.
That is some weird shit.
Millennia 2735, contact between 120.7, good day. Between 120.7, good day, Millennia 2735.
That's something fine. Gone.
What is a skinwalker? A skinwalker is a shape-shifting demonic entity. It's essentially a Native American witch or warlock that sells their soul in exchange for immortality, the ability to take on the skin or shape-shift, oftentimes in the form of a wolf, a dire wolf, or a werewolf-like creature, but they can also take on the shape of other animals as well. It's a topic that I found the Native American community likes to stay away from. They don't like to discuss it, to even say the name Skinwalker is negative.
What is the scariest part about War of the Worlds? Is it the fact that the aliens have death heat rays that can vaporize you in a second? Nope. Or is it the fact that they're so technologically advanced that they literally ride lightning into their death tripod machines?
That is them. They come down in capsules, riding the lightning into the ground, into the machines, right?
Nope. Or is it the fact that when they capture you, they drain you of all your blood with a very long needle? Nope. It's the soundtrack. If this doesn't give you chills, I don't know what will. So,
when this guy starts crafting some wild gadget in his garage, it's like watching Tony Stark in action. He's piecing together parts, and before you know it, boom, he's got these crazy metal hands that look straight out of an Iron Man suit. I'm talking lights, moving parts, the whole deal. It's like he's building his own superhero gear right there. This dude's not just inventing, he's bringing the Iron Man vibe to life. No cap, these hands are next level awesome. When this guy starts crafting some wild gadget in his garage, it's like watching Tony Stark in action. He's piecing together parts, and before you know it, boom, he's got these crazy metal hands that look straight out of an Iron Man suit. I'm talking lights, moving parts, the whole deal. It's like he's building his own superhero gear right there. This dude's not just inventing, he's bringing the Iron Man vibe to life. No cap, these hands are next level awesome.
Scary recordings found on the dark web. Part 1.
World Trade Center bombing. The diplomat who issued the terrorist visa was CIA.
You're telling me that you're gonna fake some terrorist thing just to scare some money out of Congress?
Well, unfortunately, Mr. Hennessy, I have no idea how to fake killing 4,000 people. So we're just gonna have to do it for real. Oh, blame it on the Muslims, naturally.
America's just been attacked.
What?
Nuclear bomb just hit Los Angeles.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Mom, look.
I can't.
Malcolm, I can't hear you.
There's something going on down here. Get the kids out of there.
Just don't breathe the air. Go to your brother's. Go to Ian's.
Go in the closet and get the. He said not to breathe the air. He said not to breathe the air. We can't go.
We can't show these pictures yet?
No. You could take human skin cells and merge them with octopus DNA, and then, octopus can actually change its color. So you can make a human skin cell be able to change its color and camouflage itself, kind of like the Predator or something like that. Or you could take luciferase in this case and put it into any plant you want. You could make a plant glow in the dark. Let's say you have a shooting range. What's your number one problem? You're going to accumulate a lot of lead over time, right? And so what if you had plants that seeped it right out of the soil so it doesn't get into the water?
You had mentioned some early detection systems that these plants could be used.
Yeah, sentinel plants. And so imagine you're a coal miner. What's your number one problem? You're worried about methane because it naturally leaches off the walls and you don't smell it. It's a silent killer. It explodes. So imagine a plant, a cave moss or something, and it doesn't glow unless there's methane, and when it does, it glows red. It's called a sentinel plant, right? And you can use this for military applications, for industrial applications, for environmental applications. It's just magic.
Look at this. Is this a glitch in our reality?
It's like a dark rainbow. Goes into one of those cloud trail things, and then it ends up dark over there. Like, what is that? That looks like just some sort of weird dark rainbow. That's so weird. Do you think it's because the sun is right in that cloud stream and, like, that's the shadow? Is that what it is? Am I looking at a shadow? It's just so weird. That's the weirdest thing. Or maybe it's just aliens. I mean, look at that shadow. Could just be aliens. I don't know. That is just so weird. Look at that shadow thing. What is that?
Leave your thoughts in the comments. Unanswered Universe.
Are the kids and weapons actually going through the biblical end of the world? So in the rapture, God comes to take faithful people to heaven. Gladys takes the kids at 2:17 a.m. and instead of saving them like God or Christ would, she creates a twisted, dangerous version of the rapture for her own harmful purposes. Like in the Bible, God judges and saves people taking the faithful. But Gladys decides to take all of these kids at once at the same time and use them for her own evil reasons. In this analogy, the children would be the faithful, right? They would be like the believers that vanish suddenly, leaving the world behind in chaos. Think about how the adults in this town literally fall apart because of these kids' disappearances. The children are seemingly saved from the violence of the world, but they're really caught up in Gladys's web. But the symbolism is that their innocence is removed from a corrupt world. Except here, their heaven isn't real or safe. But they're in a completely different state of mind under this, like, trance. Another thing to note is that in the Bible, the rapture is sudden, and it occurs in a specific, divinely ordained time. Like, there's a whole prophecy about when the rapture is gonna happen. And as we know, all of the kids disappeared at exactly 2:17 a.m. And this actually echoes Matthew 2:17 from the Bible, which recounts the massacre of the innocents. Another thing is that one of the kids who was taken is literally named Matthew. Matthew 2:17. I made a whole other video about it though. But in the Bible, the prophecy is that the rapture is gonna happen no matter what. And this 2:17 a.m. thing really mirrors the rapture's timing. With all of the kids gone, the world is just full of chaos and it just goes to madness, right? Like the town is falling apart because of what happened to these kids. And then we have Gladys going door to door spreading chaos. And I feel like this mirrors what the Bible describes as the world's trials after the faithful people are taken. So my little headcanon is that weapons mirrors what happens in the Rapture, but like locally. Now, is this a huge stretch? Yes, but like I think it's really fun to think about. And there are some cool parallels. Let me know what you think and follow for more freaky.
We think the ground beneath us is solid, safe, unmoving, but the truth. Earth is alive. Its crust is not one piece, it's broken into massive plates, floating on molten rock. They drift just a few centimeters each year. But when they collide, lock, and finally break free, the planet shakes. That's an earthquake, the energy released. Beyond imagination, the largest quake ever recorded in Chile 1960. Released more power than all the nuclear bombs humanity has ever built combined. One quake can shift entire coastlines, raise mountains, and tilt Earth's axis by centimeters. And here's the part that will haunt you. Quakes don't just happen at the surface. Some strike hundreds of miles deep, so deep they rattle the planet's core. Scientists once measured a shockwave that circled the Earth. Not once, but multiple times. The planet rang like a bell. So next time the ground trembles under your feet, remember it's not just destruction. It's Earth reminding us it's alive. We are walking on the back of a restless giant.
The firmament that we are stuck up under, it will open. Will we see the actual planets that, we speak about? Is it hidden behind the firmament?
The planets is actually beyond the ice wall. You have plasma vortexes that have concentric circles that take you through stargates to get beyond the firmament. In order to get beyond the firmament, you got to be energetically balanced from the heart and the mind. Ever since from 1943, 53, 63, all the way up until the year of 2043, which is also a 9-year, which is the year of completion, that's when the firmament is going to break open. And right above it, you're going to see the mothership, and the mothership is going to extract their children in the so-called rapture. Because when you look at the prefix of the word rapture, you get Ra, which is the sun. It's an energy extraction.
It's an actual ship that we will see.
What I'm saying is that when you got the firmament is what creates physical existence. The firmament is why you can see phones, you can see your arm and shit like that. But if you take away the firmament, all you're going to see is energy. There's no use for the body. When you trap light, that creates physical matter. Those are subatomic particles. This is why sometimes when you sneeze, that's the closest thing that you get to death, because when you sneeze, that's when the heart stops at 0 point energy, because when you sneeze, you see particles, and those particles are subatomic particles. And when they condense together, that's what creates physical matter. So when you start to see death, you can see particles and atoms and everything start to split, because it's the illusion.
The firmament that we are stuck up under, it will open. Will we see the actual planets that, we speak about? Is it hidden behind the
This video may not seem like much, but you are looking at Nobel Prize winning work. This video is a time-lapse of stars in the center of our galaxy over the course of 20 years. And if you watch them carefully, especially this one right here, you'll notice that they seem to be orbiting something. And we can actually figure out what that thing is. Here we see observations of one of those stars called S2, and you can see the nice clean elliptical orbit that it's tracing out. Orbits like this can be described by Kepler's laws, which were initially developed to describe the orbits of planets in our solar system, but can actually be applied to a large range of systems. And Kepler's third law is really useful because it shows that there's a mathematical relationship between the time it takes something to orbit, the size of its orbit, and the mass of the thing that it is orbiting. So you can take observations of stars like S2 and figure out the mass of the thing that it's orbiting. And the mass that you get is 4 million times the mass of the sun. But all that mass is in a relatively small area, meaning it is incredibly dense. Too dense to be anything other than a black hole. Yeah, these moving dots provided some of the best evidence for the existence of a supermassive black hole in the Milky Way, and even allowed us to calculate its mass. Getting these observations was incredibly difficult, the work took decades, and the people who led it won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2020. Because, yeah, they found the black hole in the heart of our galaxy. Pretty remarkable stuff.
Disturbing videos found on dark web, part 3.
The
This incredible footage that was sent to us from Connecticut is some of the clearest footage of a glitch node in the atmosphere I have ever seen. So what's going on here? You could think of a glitch node like a bubble of random energy, though that's not quite right. It's kind of more of a bubble of bubbles. But you can see in the cloud that's moving how all those little poofs coming out. So that's energy escaping the node. And you can actually see the node at the very end of this clip, which we'll show you in a second. If you're curious to learn more about glitch nodes, check out our other videos. But watch what happens after this little cloud goes around to the back of the other cloud. There, do you see it? That right there, that little black dot, that is the glitch node that was causing that whole cloud. It is incredible that this was captured on camera. These glitch nodes usually don't last very long. They're usually very small. This one is massive. I mean, that has to be like 20 feet in diameter, which doesn't look very big because the clouds around it are like the size of like 100 buildings or something. But that is huge. So this could be the result of a man-made glitch. Honestly, it's just as likely to be natural. Without more footage of this, we won't be able to tell. If you've seen anything like this before or got a better idea what this might be, drop us a line in the comments.
Would you believe me if I told you that the Jews came up with the same calculation as we did for the start of the end of the world? This is crazy. Check this out. Get out your calculator because we're going to do some math here in a second.
Who understands King Solomon's words in a remarkable way. He says that what King Solomon is actually doing is telling us that all 6,000 years of Jewish history are divided up into 28 seasons.
The scripture that the Rabbi Lawrence is talking about, Ecclesiastes 3, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. And then he proceeds to list a time to born and time to die, which is like the famous one everyone's heard of, right? So if you count the number of times here in Ecclesiastes, it totals 28. Now here's where it gets really interesting. According to rabbinical Jewish sources, the latest year for the Messiah or Mashiach to appear is 6,000 years from creation. So if you take 6,000 years of creation and divide them into 28 seasons, you get 214.285 years for each season. And if you subtract 214 from 6,000, you get 5786, which is actually the upcoming Jewish year according to the Jewish calendar. And guess when that year starts? Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets, in 2025. But here's where it gets really interesting. We have to go back to that season. What is that final season that King Solomon talks about? A time for peace. A time for peace. Interesting. So we're getting ready to enter, or actually have already entered, the time for peace. Now if we take that fraction and we calculate what day of the year that would have started, you actually get 101 days. And if you subtract 101 days from the beginning of the Jewish New Year of 5786, you get June 13. And on June 13, the 12-day war started. It actually gets more mind-blowing because if we entered into the time of peace on June 13, we know that in Zechariah 1:11, when the men are sent out to survey the land, to go throughout the earth, they reported back to the Lord that they have gone throughout the earth and found that the whole world was at rest and in peace. So we just entered the time of peace. What happens after that? In Revelation 6, Jesus opens the first of the 7 seals, and we know that in the beginning of the tribulation, the first 4 seals are the 4 horses that were mentioned in Zechariah. So we have the white one, the red one, the black one, and the pale or the green one. This is the beginning of the Great Tribulation. This is the beginning of God's wrath. What happens while they're saying peace and safety? Well, we know from 1 Thessalonians 5:3 that while people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come upon them suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. That is the rapture.
What's going on here? We need samples of genes and chromosomes from your kind to develop a stronger breed of people. Because on our planet, radiation damages our DNA so that we are dying off to extinction. Unless we learn the secret of your vitality. We'll help you. But you know, we need help too. What do you need? The people people on Earth are suffering from many kinds of pollution. We need your advanced technology to help us develop a clean source of energy.
They've been watching us since the beginning of Earth to see what we're doing. But the only time they can interfere, because that's the prime directive, like it is on Star Trek, non-interference.
Yeah.
And the only time they can interfere is if we were to get to the point where we're going to blow up the Earth. Then they have to stop it because it would cause reverberations throughout the galaxy, so they can't allow that. So they've been watching us, and we got to the time of the atomic bomb in 1945, and they said we better get down there and see what these kids are playing with, because they said we were not supposed to have atomic power yet. We were not supposed to get it until we were going to use it for good. Instead, we turned it into a weapon. So they said these kids don't know how to use this. They don't even know how to take care of their own lives. They just came through this horrible World War II. They will destroy the planet. So they came up with a brilliant idea. They can't interfere and come and say, stop it, because that's interference. They came up with a brilliant idea. They said, let's put out the call for volunteers. Pure souls who have never been on Earth, who have never been caught up in the karmic wheel. They're the ones who can bring in the energy to help save the world. And that's what the volunteers are. And I found the 3 waves.
What is it when they create a human?
Cloning?
Yes, it's cloning. He says, John, what do you know about cloning? And I said, nothing. I mean, this was so far out to me. And he said, just let me tell you, it's all real and it's all happening. And this is from Cecil McMains, a guy who's so down to earth, who worked on the SR-71, who did a lot of stuff, you know. And he would never, ever come out with something so unusual.
We have both seen the film that was taken out of the Dulce facility. Why would somebody make pictures like this showing the creation of some sort of alien being? And this is a facility. This is a facility that's run by the United States government. I mean, with your tax monies.
Yeah, I've heard Hamilton talk about the Dulce facility, and I've also heard about, genetic engineering programs at Area 51.
Yeah, there's no question that Dulce exists. I was the one that kind of led the research on that. I was at a meeting in Crestone, Colorado, and Tom Adams handed me a letter from a lady who lives in Las Vegas, and she was the one that tipped us off that this thing existed. So I talked to her, and she knew the location of some photos and videotape that had been taken inside Dulce by a guard who escaped during what they call the Dulce Wars of 1979.
That from the Feast of Trumpets in 2025 to the Feast of Atonement in 2032, there are exactly 2,550 days. That's the precise length of the tribulation spoken of in the book of Daniel. 1,260 days plus another 1,290 days. Here's what's incredible. Since Israel became a nation in 1948, this exact alignment has only happened 6 times. In 2025, it will be the 7th time, and after that, it will never happen again in history. The Feast of Trumpets has always been seen as a picture of the rapture, when the trumpet will sound and the church will be caught up. And Daniel makes it clear, the tribulation is a fixed time of exactly 2,550 days. That means this year's Feast of Trumpets could mark the start of everything, the rapture and the countdown to Jesus returning at the end of the tribulation.
This thing is so weird. Can you understand me?
What?
How many are there?
The sound is just the water dripping. But look at their faces, they're weeping. This is the wall of lamentation.
These aren't just names. They're the gods themselves. A pantheon is buried here. They're everywhere. Obsidian. And look at the gold. It's just part of the wall. This is a corridor of souls. Look at the mural. It's a map to the afterlife.
The sound is just the water dripping. But look at their faces. They're weeping. This is the wall of lamentation.
It's an entire library. Look at these symbols. They're everywhere.
There's gold. It's all over the place. And these.
Years to dig it up, to excavate it. I don't know what happened to the craft, but I know this is legitimate. Check this out.
We heard some things were going wrong. We heard the thrusters firing really fast. I promised my husband only a week to walk the dogs, but unfortunately, I was up there, well, fortunately, also, I was up there for 9.5 months. So, you know, what happened to us was a little bit of a surprise, but I know, and Butch knew, we have hundreds, if not thousands of people working on making sure that we're safe and we have a way to get home. Maybe it's not the optimum way to get home, but we have a way to get home. We have enough food, we have enough clothes, and all of that was being worked. And so I personally never felt that I was abandoned or stuck. I've met some problems before in my life, and you just have to change and figure out what you're gonna do next.
Life makes no sense. You're on a planet right now. You think you're in America? Zoom out. You're on a space rock floating in nothingness, infinite nothingness, and the infinite nothingness is expanding. That means endlessness is getting bigger. That makes no fucking sense. I'm made of molecules, you're made of molecules, the air between us, it's all made of molecules. That makes no fucking sense. This stool is made of molecules, the same molecules in my hand. In fact, some of the molecules in this stool went into me while I've been talking, and some that were me have gone into this stool. And you know, when I knock these molecules into these molecules, when we ask science why don't they go through each other, you know what the answer is? We don't know. That doesn't make any fucking sense!
进去，别给它炸下来！我操！
哦，那你是演出法随了吗？
真炸来了吗？
没了呢吧？
Galactic cannibalism. What? That's the real astronomical term for when a giant galaxy devours a small one, claiming the little guy's stars for itself to grow even more massive. Okay, can't we call that galactic absorption or something? Why's it gotta sound so brutal? Because it is brutal, man! When a galaxy cannibalizes another, it completely ravages it, ripping it to shreds via tidal forces before even consuming it. It's the cosmic equivalent of pulling the wings off of a fly, dude. It's gruesome. Monsters. Well, I want nothing to do with those galaxies. You don't have much of a choice. Why? The galaxy you live in is a cannibal. No. Oh yeah. Our own Milky Way galaxy is guilty of maiming and consuming at least half a dozen other galaxies. And those are just the ones we know of. No, I don't believe it. How could we even know that? Well, because the Milky Way didn't bother to hide the evidence. We observe the mangled remains of its victims scattered all over the place in the form of what are known as stellar streams. These elongated ribbons of stars and gas, which were once organized into neat little galaxies, now pulled apart like taffy, rendered unrecognizable from their former selves as they're slowly slurped. Good grief, dude, that's terrible. See, here's the thing. Many, if not most, large galaxies are cannibals. They're such gravitational powerhouses that smaller galaxies within a relatively close proximity are inevitably drawn to them, like moths to a flame, doomed to be consumed. But as dark as that all sounds, there is a bright side to it. It turns out that one of the most effective ways for the universe to make new stars is through galactic cannibalism. See, because when galaxies merge like this, the gas and dust within both collides and compresses, which catalyzes huge bursts of star formation. In fact, it is very possible that the formation of our own sun could have been the result of one of the Milky Way's feeding episodes. Our existence could all be thanks to cannibalism.
There's a stretch of ocean between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico where reality seems to break. They call it the Bermuda Triangle. For decades, ships have sailed in and never returned. Aircraft have vanished without a single distress call. Thousands of lives gone without explanation. One of the most famous mysteries. Flight 19. In 1945, 5 U.S. Navy bombers took off on a routine training mission. They never came back. The rescue plane sent after them. It vanished too. No wreckage, no bodies, nothing. But here's where it gets darker. Ships as massive as the USS Cyclops, carrying 300 men, disappeared in calm waters without a single SOS. It's as if the ocean swallowed them whole. Scientists, of course, tried to explain it. The area is one of the most unpredictable places on Earth. Powerful storms form in minutes. Rogue waves, walls of water taller than skyscrapers can strike without warning. Beneath the surface, huge fields of methane gas light wrapped in the seabed. A sudden release could turn water into foam, sinking a ship instantly. But there are theories that go beyond science. Some say the triangle is a doorway, a rift in the fabric of space-time. Others believe ancient technology, maybe even from Atlantis, still hums beneath the waves. And every now and then, people claim to see strange lights in the sky above, moving in ways no aircraft can. So what is the Bermuda Triangle? A graveyard of ships and planes? A glitch in the laws of physics? Or a reminder that the ocean is still hiding secrets we can't even begin to imagine?
This is the dying star, VY Canis Majoris. It's more than 1 billion miles across. Like all stars, it's a giant nuclear fusion reactor, pumping energy outward. At the same time, the star's extreme gravity crushes inward. For a few million years, fusion and gravity are locked in standoff. But when the star runs out of fuel, fusion stops, and the stalemate ends. Gravity wins. In a millisecond, the core shrinks to a fraction of its original size, and a baby black hole is born. Immediately, it starts to cannibalize what's left of the star.
As matter swirls into the black hole, it gets incredibly hot, and there are magnetic forces and frictional forces, and it's just a witch's brew, a nightmare what's going on right above the surface of the black hole.
The new black hole in the middle keeps feeding on the body of the star around it. It eats the gas so fast, it chokes and coughs, blasting out huge beams of energy.
They basically eat their way out from the star. This happens in milliseconds. It happens before the rest of the star even knows the core is gone. And so basically the star is dead before it hits the ground.
Finally, the star explodes. In 1 second, it blasts out 100 times more energy than our sun will produce over its entire life. What's left is a new black hole and 2 jets of energy hurtling through the universe at the speed of light. These jets are called gamma ray bursts.
I believe the universe has many, many levels of reality. I think UFOs are non-physical. I definitely think that we're not necessarily meant to interpret them at face value.
And when you say non-physical, are you implying that they're not part of this holographic reality either?
They're a different channel on the holographic television set, a different channel than our physical universe is on, is what I believe.
Yeah.
And I think they're uncountable channels on the holographic TV. And probably as many civilizations and such a richness of life on those levels as there is on our own planet, in our own universe, probably.
my god. Okay. Oh, this is really dangerous. Oh my god. If zombies come out of nowhere and invite me, oh my god, right? Oh my god, Ash is getting my eyes. It's bad. Ow.
Spoiler alert. There appears to be a 40-meter long metallic tic-tac shaped object.
Yeah, there seems to be a metallic object down there. Alan Burrows scans that correlated other scans and also reported on that Tim Akers, rest in peace, and what he said about this object, like he is a credible guy to say this. He doesn't draw conclusions about what it might be, but it's not wood, it's not stone, it's metal. It's not unlike other metal that he's seen, although they couldn't classify what exact type of metal it is. In the central atrium, which we'll get into what that is, but somewhere in the realm of 60, 70 meters, like 200 feet, 150 to 180 feet down.
Professor X asks girl, what is your mutant power? I can guess how many pulls to turn a ceiling fan off on the first try. She points up and says, 3 pulls. Professor X stands up and pulls 3 times. After the 3rd pull, the fan turns off. Yeah, that's cool and all, but not really a superpower. Yeah, I was just kidding. I can heal paraplegic. Oh my god!
The water in your glass right now might once have flowed through the veins of a dinosaur. Yes, an actual T-Rex, because here's the truth. Earth's water is ancient. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't get replaced. It just cycles, from oceans to clouds, from clouds to rain, from rivers to bodies, and yes, even through toilets. The same molecules are endlessly recycled. That means the water you sip today has been everywhere. Maybe it rinsed the dust from a Spartan's wound after battle. Maybe it shimmered in the chalice of a Roman emperor. Maybe Cleopatra herself once bathed in it inside her palace. This isn't just water, it's history, flowing endlessly. Because Earth is a closed system, no new water arrives, none escapes into space. The same drops have boiled in Viking pots, steamed from samurai armor, and quenched the thirst of monks, warriors, kings, and poets. And now those very molecules are inside you. So the next time you drink, remember, it isn't just water. It's the memory of Earth itself, passed from age to age, mouth to mouth, life to life.
A tall, 7-ish foot praying mantis looking being. It came through a sliding screen door. There was a deck out there, 3 stories up, no stairs down, and just walked right through the door, was standing over me. And again, I was terrified, frozen, paralyzed to the bed. And I got a male presence vibe from this being, and is just looking at me very intently and explaining to me, look, this body that you got, it is just a soul housing group. It's a brain housing group. It is just a machine that your soul occupies for this lifetime. And so, yeah, we're going to mess with it. We're going to get up under the hood and we're going to adjust the carburetor, right? I had just dated myself there. We may swap a couple of parts out, but we can't steal you. We can't steal your soul. We can't steal your consciousness. So quit screaming and writhing around and let us do our frickin' job. And it's like the equivalent of a surgeon telling the patient, stop squiggling, just like the veterinarian to my Labrador Retriever. Hold him down, for crying out loud. I gotta be able to check this tendon. And so I got that very condescending and vigorous instruction. But here's the thing. As proof, there was this image that he put him, and it was terrifying. His mandibles that were kind of behind like a casing or a shell opened up, and he starts grabbing chunks of my cheek, and he's ripping it, and there's blood spattering on the wall. And I'm feeling the tug, and I'm feeling this flesh you know, and the whole time he is conveying to me, see, we can't get your soul. We could do a lot of damage to your body if we want to. We don't. We're trying to help you. But this is how bad it could get. So stop squiggling around and let us get this done.
And was that physical damage to your cheek real?
No, I felt the tugging, and I had the visual, again, a false, fuzzy memory.
In the middle of the Nevada desert lies a place so secret, it wasn't even acknowledged by the US government until 2013. A place whispered about in rumors, sightings, and conspiracy theories. Area 51. Officially, it's an Air Force base, a testing site for experimental aircraft, and yes, many of the world's most advanced. Planes, like the U-2 spy plane, were born there. But what about the stories the government doesn't explain? Since the 1940s, locals have reported strange lights zigzagging across the desert sky, movements no plane could make, technology that shouldn't exist. Some believe these were early stealth projects, others say they weren't human at all. And then there's Roswell, 1947, a supposed crash of a flying saucer. The wreckage, according to some, was taken straight to Area 51. The government said weather balloon. Believers said cover-up. Here's the chilling part. Declassified documents reveal that the base is guarded with extreme force signs warning that deadly force is authorized. What kind of test site needs that level of secrecy? So what's the truth? Is Area 51 just a playground for military engineers? Or is it the vault where humanity hides proof that we are not alone? Maybe the real question isn't what's inside Area 51. It's this: why don't they want us to know?
Do you remember last year when a company that was funded by the Australian military immersed tiny human brains grown in jars in Game World, demonstrated that they were sentient, but also kind of sort of created the Matrix? Well, it's gotten a lot better. What you're seeing behind me is a virtual world where brain organoids were given a butterfly body. They're receiving sensory input from a game world. They weren't trained or taught to do this, they were just given the body. If they were to think they were anything, they'd probably think they're a butterfly. Yes, this is the very same Swiss company that is selling brain organoid computation as a subscription model where you can rent out 16 tiny brains and have them work for you. This is truly an amazing feat in computation, engineering, and biological sciences. But we are essentially creating and perfecting the Matrix. I actually found out about this because Final Spark let me join their Discord, and I'm waiting for them to regret it. Please don't kick me out of Discord. If this kind of progress happened in a year, imagine where we'll be in 10. This tells us a lot about how we can connect a human brain to machines. They also sent me this video. This is one of the very first brain organoid robots. This all happened around 2008. A brain in a jar is remotely controlling this little guy here. This is what happens when we give them sensory input in the real world. I've also been informed that these are technically cyborgs. I really give it just 1 year before somebody pops it into a humanoid robot if it hasn't already been done.
Have you ever stopped and wondered, how much does humanity actually weigh? Not just you, not just me, but all of us. Every man, woman, and child alive on Earth right now. The answer is shocking. There are over 8 billion humans today, and the combined weight of humanity is estimated at around 390 million tons. To put that into perspective, that's heavier than every airplane, every ship, every car, and every building on the planet combined. Just think about that for a moment. If you lined up all of humanity shoulder to shoulder, we could cover an entire country. If you stacked us up, our weight would crush mountains. We are quite literally a force of nature. But here's the twist. We aren't just flesh and bone. Humanity's true weight isn't only measured on a scale, it's measured in impact, the food we eat every single day, the forests cut down to make space for us, the water we drink, the animals we consume, the energy we burn. Our collective weight isn't just physical, it's planetary. Scientists estimate that humans now outweigh all wild mammals on Earth by a factor of 10. Think about that, our bodies alone outweigh elephants, lions, whales, bears, and every wild animal you can name. And here's something even stranger. The stuff we've created, our concrete, our plastic, our steel, our machines, now weighs more than all living things combined. Humanity's inventions outweigh nature itself. So when we ask, what is the true weight of humanity? It's not just numbers on a scale. It's the pressure we put on the planet. It's the responsibility we carry. And it's the legacy we're leaving behind. The real question is, how long can Earth carry us? And what will we do when our weight becomes too heavy for the planet to bear? Comment below, do you think humanity is on the edge of collapse, or can we find balance before it's too late? What if I told you there was once a civilization so advanced, so powerful, it could rival our modern world, and then it vanished overnight? The story comes from the Greek philosopher Plato, who wrote of a mighty island called Atlantis over 11,000 years ago, a place of breathtaking temples, crystal palaces, and technology far ahead of its time. Its people harnessed energy, built ships that crossed oceans, and lived in a golden age of knowledge. And then one day it was gone, swallowed by the sea in a single night of fire and floods. Was Plato just telling a myth? Or was he recording a memory of a real civilization erased from history? Here's where it gets strange. Ancient maps show land masses in places now buried beneath the ocean. Flood stories exist in nearly every culture from Mesopotamia to India to the Americas. Scientists now know the Ice Age ended with sudden cataclysms, massive floods, rising seas, and meteor impacts. Could Atlantis have been real and destroyed by these events? Some believe Atlantis lies beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Others point to Santorini in Greece, where a volcano wiped out a Bronze Age culture. And some think the ruins may be hidden under Antarctica's ice. But here's the part nobody talks about. What if Atlantis wasn't just a place, but a warning? A civilization that grew too powerful, too careless with nature, and was wiped out by forces it couldn't control. If that's true, then maybe the mystery of Atlantis isn't about whether it existed. Maybe the real question is, are we next? Comment below, do you believe Atlantis was real or just a legend?
Look at this. Let's put this on screen from Amazon. Put the full screen up, please. The shooting of Charlie Kirk. Yeah, blow that up. Why does Amazon have the shooting of Charlie Kirk by Anastasia J. Casey posted one day before he was murdered? And then they updated it, and it's on the Internet Archive. That's been checked. It happened a day, September 9th. So it was already out there, and then they updated it today. Publication date, September 9th. The FBI needs to be knocking down some doors over there.
It is a true story. Here's the actual interview with the gentleman driving the truck that this happened to on the dark country road in North Carolina. Here's the interview by Rusty from Carolina Case Files.
Hi guys, it's Rusty.
I'm about to interview the young man that was driving the truck the night of the frantic 911 call. T, finally I get a chance to meet you. I got to tell you, I heard the 911 call a couple of months ago, actually. And it's been a little bit of a challenge to get the sheriff's schedule, my schedule, and finally now we've got your schedule all worked out so that we can talk to you and get you to tell your story. Obviously, we're not going to share your name or your face. Totally understand that. But after talking with you, clearly your voice is the voice that's on that 911 call. So, if you would, just start wherever you want to. We want to hear the whole story. Take as much time as you need.
I guess I'll start from the beginning of the trip. I was coming up from Florida to visit my family. At the time, I was going to a trade school down there, and when I was driving up here to where the incident occurred by the battlefield, it was already easily well into the morning. I wasn't looking at my phone. I just know it was pitch black outside, and it was pitch black. I couldn't see the moon, stars, nothing, just barely the road through my headlights. And I had my window down because the AC wasn't working the best. And as I was coming around, there was a massive right curve right there before you cross the Black River. And then after that, you have the battlefield. So on that massive black curve, as I'm coming around, I had just started the curve, and I was about a third of the way through it, and I look over into the ditch on my right because I caught a quick glimpse of something, and I take a further look. It looks like there's I'd say probably a 30-something-year-old man standing in that ditch wearing what looks like an old Civil War uniform, just covered head to toe in blood. And the uniform was torn as well. That threw me off because I didn't expect to see it at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'm calling 911 after I see him to report that because, for all I know, it could have just been a normal guy that was injured and needed emergency help. It looked like what had happened is he hit his head on something, and the blood was just pooling down over his face and torso. And well, as I was calling, everything seemed perfectly normal. Just quick phone call to 911, let them know, hey, there's a guy out here, and try to find somewhere safe to park so that way I can take them to him. Well, as you know from the 911 call, right as soon as I reported that, I already had my window up at that point. All of a sudden, I heard a massive bang on my truck, and my truck bounced down from the rear, like I was pulling a heavy trailer and I hit a pothole. And so I'm sitting there going, what the hell was that? Which I'm pretty sure you heard me yell, what the hell? I turned on my bed light, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and all I saw was this white, snow white face right up against my rear windshield. Like it was looking into my truck, trying to see what it could see. It had shallow, sunken eyes. It had no nose. Just think if you took skin and put it on a human skull and stretched it thin. Couldn't see any ears, just that. And immediately, I just started screaming. I didn't realize until afterwards that I had said that's not human on the call, because it was just the first thing I started screaming because I was terrified. I didn't have my firearm with me, nothing. All I had was a wood splitting axe. So that's all I had. So, and my truck is loud as is, and it picks up speed fairly easily. Well, my truck at the time, it had a gas-powered 6-liter V8 Vortec on it, and it was a proper dual exhaust, hence why I had the window up, because that truck is nice and loud. Okay? Well, I'm doing in between 55, 60 miles an hour when this happens, and I just stomped on the gas for a second. When I looked at the speedometer before I slammed on my brakes, I was doing maybe 80. And I slammed on those brakes with all my might, and I went from like 80 miles an hour down to like 35 in just like a couple of seconds. And all I see is just a super scrawny long body just fly over my truck in a ball rolling. And as I then swerve to the left and get back in the travel lane, and I floor it. And as I'm swerving to the left, I see it stand up, and it is easily taller than that truck.
No.
I'm 5'10". The truck is about 2 inches taller than I am. And this thing was easily like maybe 7 feet. And as I'm past it, I look in my mirror and I see it bolt to the left into the woods, and it looked like some, I don't even know what the hell, because it looked like somebody took a normal human.
We think of time as simple, past behind us, future ahead, and we stand in the middle, moving forward. But what if that's a lie? Einstein shattered the idea of absolute time. He showed us that the faster you move, the slower your clock ticks. That means two people standing side by side can live in two different timelines without even realizing it. But here's the terrifying part. At the quantum level, time may not even exist. Equations that govern reality work perfectly. Without time in them, that means what you call yesterday and tomorrow are illusions your mind creates to make sense of something much stranger. Some scientists now believe the past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. Every moment of your life, your birth, your first love, your death still exists, frozen like frames in a film reel. You're just experiencing them one at a time. So maybe the future isn't waiting to be written. Maybe it's already there, already real, already happening, and free will. Just the sensation of flipping pages in a story that was always complete. If that's true, then every choice you think you're making was never a choice at all. What if the history you've been taught isn't the full story? Throughout time, entire civilizations have risen and vanished. But what if some of their secrets were erased on purpose? Take the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Officially, they were built 4,500 years ago by pharaohs using primitive tools. But here's the controversy. Even modern engineers admit building them today would be nearly impossible. Perfectly aligned to true north, stones weighing 70 tons, lifted with precision. Some blocks cut so perfectly they fit tighter than a credit card. So the question is, did ancient Egyptians really build them alone? Or were they inheriting knowledge from a civilization far older, one that disappeared from history? The same question hangs over other sites. Stonehenge, Easter Island. Göbekli Tepe 12000 years old, older than farming itself. How did hunter-gatherers carve megaliths heavier than jet planes? And here's where it gets truly controversial. Some historians believe the timeline of humanity itself is wrong, that advanced cultures existed long before what we call history, that the flood myths in the Bible, in Mesopotamia, in India, and even among Native Americans might be memories of a real global cataclysm that wiped them out. If that's true, what else have we lost? Ancient maps showing Antarctica without ice, knowledge of the stars that rival our modern telescopes, machines and inventions described thousands of years before they were discovered. So here's the burning question: is history just missing pages? Or were they torn out? Think about it. If entire civilizations had technology, wisdom, or power that challenged what we believe today, who would benefit from hiding it? Maybe history isn't just written by the victors. Maybe it's rewritten over and over until the truth is buried beneath stone, sand, and silence. Comment below, do you believe humanity has lived through forgotten ages? Or is this all just myth and coincidence?
What the Holy
There's absolutely nothing to see here. Keep driving. Don't turn around. Don't make eye contact with anybody. All right? Just keep going. It's just Uber. They're picking up their riders. Yep. Just Uber.
Yes?
Stenciled.
Oh my God.
Nice paint.
Wallpaper almost. Oh my, that's all stenciled.
Wow. You put your finger on one of these wee bumps, you'll feel a bit of paint.
Really? Oh yes, that's all painted and stenciled. I wonder what was here. Now here's another doorway. Another doorway, another arch. Look what's above us. Ooh. How did the plague affect them, sir? It feels like somebody is like squeezing your insides all together, actually squeezing the life right out of you. Hear that? You could hear that sound? Could you hear the sound coming from the hallway?
No. No, somebody else coming. Can it be?
No.
What are you hearing?
Like the sound of people, of more than one person together walking by, and, you know, like heavy clothing rubbing against each other, that type of thing I could hear.
I'm going home.
And I could hear that, and I wondered, you looked, Frank, so I thought you heard the same thing.
No, I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Dr. Robertson, no, sorry, can we play that back, please? It was incomplete, but based on the remains that were taken from us, it looks like the same species. Dr. Smith, what did you think when you saw this and when you filmed it at the time?
Well, I looked at it and I just knew I was looking into the face of another intelligence, another species like us.
Dr. Smith, tell us, who did you first show this footage to when you realized what you had filmed?
Well, we knew we could not share it with the duty officers of the expeditions, so we...
Again, you mean the Icelandic authorities who basically said that if you pursue this, they're going to threaten you with legal action.
Exactly. So we discussed it as a crew, and because we are Danes and Greenland is a part of Denmark, we thought we could go to the Danish authorities, so we did.
I'm going to put up an article here, and this is just remarkable. Please take a look at this. This is Greenland's response to what the Danish authorities shared with them. The government in Greenland issued a total ban on all new drilling, all new oil exploration, and this was just announced on March 27th of this year, 2013, and all of this in response to the footage that you and your team shared with the Danish authorities.
Yes, that's right.
We have a map of this area. Can we put up the map right now? Yeah, I mean, this is near where you filmed the encounter, is that right?
Yes.
Seems like a vast area. That's huge.
It's actually the largest natural park in the world, and also a coastal preserve for marine mammals. And I think because of our footage was taken near that area, then there was a lot of concern about the disturbances to this habitat and what that may affect to the animals there.
We now know that the answer to the question, why is life on Earth so varied, is actually the answer to the question, why is the DNA molecule itself so varied? What are the natural processes that cause the structure of DNA to change? Well, part of the answer, actually, doesn't lie on Earth at all. It lies up there amongst the stars. And I can show you what I mean using this, which is a cloud chamber, a piece of apparatus that has a unique place in the history of physics. I'm going to cool it down using dry ice, frozen carbon dioxide, just below minus 70 degrees Celsius. The cloud chamber works by having a supersaturated vapor of alcohol inside the chamber. Plenty on there. Now, I want to get that alcohol, I want to boil it off to get the vapor into the chamber. I mean, this is the first genuine particle physics detector. It's the piece of apparatus that first saw antimatter. And it really does consist only of a fish tank, some alcohol, a bit of paper, and a hot water. There, look at that. You see that cloud, that vapor trail? That's a cosmic ray. That was initiated by a particle, probably a proton, that hit the Earth's atmosphere. It almost certainly originated outside our solar system and was accelerated by the magnetic fields of our galaxy. It may even have begun its life beyond our galaxy. Now, imagine if one of those hits the DNA of a living thing. What that will do is cause a mutation. That mutation may be detrimental, or very, very occasionally, it might be beneficial. And I think it's quite wonderful to imagine that maybe one of the key mutations that was selected for over the millennia that led to some trait in me was caused by some particle that began its life, perhaps in a massive supernova explosion, perhaps outside our galaxy, and went and hit the DNA of something and caused some kind of beneficial mutation. We don't know, but you can dream.
Mass surveillance is not about public safety. It is not about terrorism. It is about power. It is about economic espionage. It is about diplomatic manipulation, and it is about social influence. It is about understanding the actions of everyone in the world as carefully as they can, no matter who they are, no matter how innocent their life.
What I'm going to show you in this video is not going to be easy to watch, but you need to understand that it has happened in the past, and this is still happening, I believe. One of the reasons why God had the children of Israel wipe out certain people in the surrounding region wasn't because they were just bad people. No, they were practicing demonic things. like sacrificing their children to the god of Moloch. Where do you think all of this demonic imagery comes from? When you consider how many children have gone missing in the States and in the world, you gotta wonder, where are these children going? And yes, we're thankful for the few that are rescued and found from the trafficking world, but that doesn't account for the large number of children that are still missing. And I realize that a lot of people just want to listen to positive stuff, but you can't dismiss the evil in front of us. This should make your stomach turn and feel grieved inside. And as a father of 2 little ones, I weep when I see these things. Will these people ever be found and brought to justice under judicial law? Probably not. But understand that God sees all and knows all, and Judgment Day is coming soon. Go be the salt and light, preach the gospel that calls all to repentance.
There were 2 cubicles that were facing towards us as we entered. And in that first cubicle, there was an object and a podium below it. And as I looked at it, the object above the podium was a sphere, a metallic sphere. And it was hovering above the podium. It was under it. And there was no contact between those 2 things. That was the first thing that I noticed. There's no way you could look at that object and not think it's strange. I've never seen anything like this, so everything in my mind was just tripping out.
So you had no previous knowledge of UAPs or metallic spheres or anything like that?
Never been exposed to anything like that, never cared about anything like that. Honestly, I think at the time what I was mostly thinking was going on is they were evaluating us for something else. No, it was just the energy of the room when I walked in was uncomfortable, and it was sitting on a black table, about 3 foot off the ground.
And what was it?
The way the corners were. I mean, it's difficult to describe. I'm pulling on a memory from a while ago, but it did have an opening at the far, as my viewpoint, the right side of the object had an opening.
Okay.
It looked like a place you would reach in to grab something or pick it up.
Huh.
It's how I would best describe how it looked. And then on top of the object, it had some type of, I thought at the time was like an LCD screen or something on it.
Oh.
That I just noticed because our vantage point was above it. And so I had kind of like a top-down angle of it. Is there a heating mechanism or something going on with it? And as I'm looking at it, I could see symbols start to appear above where that LCD screen was.
Symbols?
Yeah, so like hieroglyphic lettering, but the strange thing about the letters were they were real crisp, almost inky black.
Okay.
Almost like a dark ink. The ones that I remember the clearest.
Wow.
And I tried to get as much as I could, but these are as close as I can pull from memory what I saw. What was odd about them is how they were the symbols weren't solid. They were shifting between these symbols. So there was probably about, I would say 6 or 7 in a row, and they were transitioning between, they would just phase in and out at different times, like alternating. They had asked us again what we thought, if we noticed anything odd, and everything about this was odd, but I didn't mention to them that I saw the symbols at the time.
Really? You were playing stoic, like yeah. You thought it was a test, so you weren't going to give them anything.
Well, that, and I was also wondering if nobody else was seeing it, maybe I shouldn't say anything. It definitely felt as if the device was communicating in some way.
To you, or just
not general? Not consciously, but it was almost like it was displaying that from my vantage point. It was displayed perfectly for me to see.
Well, I did issue for a defective equipment. It's $80. You have till September 16th to take care of this. Get you to sign there with the X is.
So you don't even give a warning for this?
You've been driving around for 6 months like that.
I'm truthful.
Well, I'm not going to give you a warning for something you've been driving for 6 months.
But, well, I don't want to sign it because I don't want to do $80.
You don't want to sign it?
No, because I don't think that I deserve to pay $80 for something that is fixable and I can fix it.
All right.
If that's all you want
Go ahead
to do.
Step out of the car.
Why?
Because you're under arrest. Step out. Step out of the vehicle.
No, I'm not.
Step out.
No.
Step out. I'm giving you a lawful order. Step out.
You be fair with me and I'll be fair with you.
Step out.
No.
You're under arrest.
No, I'm not.
I'm placing you under arrest. Step
you
out.
are full of because you're not placing me under no arrest.
Do not take off.
Shut up and give me that and I'll sign it.
Step out.
No.
We're beyond that.
You want me
Step
to-
out. Get out of the car! 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 Get out of the car!
You better leave me.
Put your hands behind your back!
Leave me alone.
Put your hands behind your back! Now!
I said leave me alone. I mean it. Leave me alone.
Put your hands behind your back! Put your hands behind your back! Lay down and put your hands behind your back! Now! No, you will not! You're gonna get it again! Do you realize you just got yourself in a whole lot more trouble?
What?
For running?
Oh, I didn't run. I told you you weren't going to arrest me. I pulled in here thinking that you would not.
You hurt?
Yeah, I'm hurt.
What hurts?
Everything.
Alright, I got EMS on the way, just hang tight.
You got a what on the way?
I got an ambulance on the way, check you out.
Ambulance? I don't need an ambulance.
Well, you got tased, so they gotta check you out.
You did not have to taser me.
You wouldn't comply, you wouldn't get out, and then you tried to kick me. So,
Why?
yes, I did.
Yeah, I tried to kick you because I'm a country girl. Because no, I
And
didn't
you got
like being
tased
thrown on
because
the
of
floor.
it.
Yes, and I didn't like being thrown on the ground.
Well, next time, listen to what I'm telling you to do.
In 2011, locals in the North Caucasus Mountains in Kabardino-Balkaria stumbled upon the entrance to a hidden cave within the Karakora mountain range. This underground shaft leads to a cave system that features walls that are unnaturally smooth and precise, as if crafted by someone or something. Speleologists including Arthur Zimukov were amongst the first to explore the cave. Arthur and his team uncover a 40-meter descent into a vast hall with perfectly aligned megalithic walls, reaching a total depth of 100 meters. This, for instance, is a sketch of how the cave looks. Doesn't look like a cave at all, does it? Now get this, within the hall, tunnels of various sizes branch off, and a peculiar floating megalith appears almost suspended in air. Not only that, Arthur and the other explorers noted a strange airflow from the bottom of the cave, as if it functioned as some sort of ventilation shaft. Now here's where things take a very strange turn. The next day after discovering the cave, Arthur Zimukov tragically died in a car accident. Year after year, the entire team that had discovered this cave began dying from mysterious illnesses, leading several people to speculate there was something very eerie about this discovery. Now, to make things even more mysterious, there are several legends that locals tell of an underground city that exists in this region. Some believe it's possibly the entrance to Shambhala, while others speculate that this is some sort of advanced construction that leads to an even deeper level. Now in 2018, Alexander Splashnov also finds this hidden entrance in the Karakora mountain range and posts several pictures to his social media. In these pictures we can get a better idea of the depth of this cave and how smooth and perfectly aligned the megalithic walls are, giving us the impression that this is not naturally made. But the question is, if so, Who made it? How deep does it go? And what was it made for?
Okay, in April 1966, more than 200 students and teachers in Melbourne's suburb of Westall claimed to have witnessed a flying saucer hovering over a schoolyard before it sped away. Nearly 60 years later, it remains Australia's most famous mass UFO sighting. Tonight, I'm joined by Joy Clark, one of the students who saw the object that day, and researcher Grant Levac, who has been documenting witness accounts and calling for government transparency on the incident. Joy and Grant, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Thank you.
Many thanks for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Joy, you were just 12 on that day in 1966. I think this picture we have of you is at the same location sometime after the event. What did you see, and what was the reaction among students and teachers that day?
What was the reaction? Well, my reaction was absolute. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I saw 3, not 1. And so did some of the other kids, and some only saw 2 and some only saw 1. It depended on where you were on the day. And because we were all, some were outside on the playing field, some were the other side of the school. The teachers I was in science class, and our teacher Mr. Greenwood said to us that we couldn't go out until the bell rang. So we had to wait because the student had run in and flung the door open and said, Mr. Greenwood, there's flying saucers in the sky, there's things in the sky. And of course, we all started laughing. And he said, and then we started to get really restless, and because we wanted to go and have a look. But he wouldn't let us go until the bell rang for the morning.
So you saw 3, and obviously people have said, these could have just been weather balloons. I'm assuming you don't believe that.
Oh, God, no. Not with it. Not the way they moved, the way they looked. Everything that happened after that. Why, in heaven's name, would we have Army, Air Force, men in black suits, police, and all told to be quiet and shut up and don't talk about it? We had Channel 9 there as well. Don't talk about it or else you will get, don't speak to the media. You're all massively hysterical. Just, button up.
So you were warned, you were told to stay silent about what you saw?
Absolutely. We were quite, in a way, it was quite bullying because our principal, Mr. Zambleby, he ruled with an iron fist. He was a really tough, no, he did. He was a really tough principal.
I know the type, that's why I laugh.
Yeah, if you stepped out of line, you paid the price. And I paid the price, so I got detention because I was interviewed by Channel 9. So there you go.
Whatever happened to that footage?
Oh, yes. It went missing like everything else. Yeah, it went to wherever it went to. Rumour has it, and it's only been rumour, that Sir Kerry Packer, who was running Channel 9, had at that stage, this is only a rumour, had asked for that film to be sent to Sydney. So, whether that happened, I don't know.
Well, Grant, there's long been talk of a cover-up. What evidence do you have, what have you found suggesting authorities did try to suppress the story?
Yeah, well, so it's a good question. I mean, many researchers, lead researcher on the Westall incident, Shane Ryan, who's uncovered almost upwards of 200 witnesses thus far. Keith Basterfield, Bill Chalker, Ross Coulthart, myself. We've all tried to secure for release through Freedom of Information, as well as the National Archives of Australia, documentary evidence that would provide some explanation on what Joy and her fellow students and teachers and other individuals that weren't even on site at the school, what they observed in the sky above Westall High School on that day. And what's so incredibly frustrating frustrating for not just the primary witnesses, but researchers like myself, is there's never been any explanation or documentary evidence provided by the Australian government at a federal, state or local level, or the Australian Department of Defence, as to what it was that was observed on the 6th of April 1966. And to Joy's point, there has never been any explanation provided as to why there was a rapid response of military personnel on the day, why there was confiscation of evidence. I believe, Joy, you've talked about in the past the other teacher, Barbara Robbins, who was reported that she took a photograph or several photographs on a still camera. That was confiscated. Why?
Okay, so there was actual physical evidence.
Yeah,
that's been reported. Yes. And that was confiscated.
Why does this sighting stand out compared to other UFO reports in Australia?
Daytime.
Well, because and the fact that you have so many people, so many students, teachers, adults, as well as there was a market gardener, Paul Smith, who was 16 years of age at the time, who was not on site at the school, but in the adjacent market gardens. So many folks saw something in the sky above Westall High School that they could not explain or readily reconcile. And many have commented that it resembled the shape of a flying saucer. And Joy mentioned she saw 3, others saw 1, again, all depending on where they were positioned. And again, there's never been any explanation provided by the Australian government as to what it was. And it's not just the fact that there was a rapid response of military personnel and confiscation of evidence, it was also the fact that there was witness intimidation. Joy mentioned that they were told to shut up about it, and that was also true of Andrew Greenwood, who had 2 men rock up to his residence unannounced, unwelcomed, knock on his door, and one was in a military attire and the other was in civil attire, essentially threaten him and say, if you talk about what it is you saw, it'll be very easy for your co-workers and colleagues to believe that you were drunk on the day of the incident. And the big one for me as a researcher is there was a comprehensive report that was compiled by the then Department of Supply, which is now defunct, which has never seen the light of day. So if it was something prosaic, I don't know what it was, but if it was something prosaic, well, why after 60 years has the Australian government not come clean, been transparent and provided the witnesses with answers for what it is that they saw and what they've lived with for 60 years?
Yeah. Joy, researcher Bill Chalker, he had this picture made up. Let me show it to you. It's a forensic drawing depicting the evidence of fellow student Victor Zachary. Does this match up? Now, I know you said 3, there's only 2 depicted here, but what you're seeing here, does that match up with what you remember seeing?
Very similar. Yeah, the hump in the middle, absolutely, yeah.
Which is
Very
the
similar.
traditional, when we think of flying saucers, that is the traditional idea and image we have in our heads of those.
That's right.
Grant, it is interesting. I saw a image the other day on social media depicting where all the UFO sightings have been. In America, North America was sort of lit up like everywhere, but in Australia, it's not as common. And you usually don't find so many people who have witnessed an event. The thing that strikes me about this, and I'll be honest, I don't know what to believe, but the thing that strikes me is 200 people certainly saw something. Everything you've researched, what do you think it was?
So it was either something that was prosaic of this planet. It has been proposed, it's been a hypothesis has been put forth that it was some top secret project.
But we still don't have things that move like that today.
No, that's right. And that's why I'm saying if it was something that was top secret that the Australian government and the Australian Department of Defence did not want the Australian public and or its foreign adversaries to be aware of, well, then that's been put forward as a plausible explanation for what occurred on that day. Now, again, what's frustrating for me is there's been no documentary evidence ever presented to support that hypothesis. So that's why I have called for the Australian government via a petition to launch an independent inquiry and provide not just the witnesses with answers for what they saw on the day, but also release this comprehensive report that was authored by the Department of Supply, so the truth can be the truth can be revealed. Now, if the Australian Department of Defence is not able to locate or release that comprehensive report from the Department of Supply, well, there's a compelling reason for the current Australian Department of Defence and Royal Australian Air Force to devote resources to the investigation of what we now call UAP, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, colloquially known as UFOs.
I always love it when they change the terms that we've used for decades.
It's frustrating. It is frustrating, and there's a lot of baggage that comes with the vernacular of UFO. But what's interesting to note, the acronym UAP is not new. It's actually been around since the 1950s and appears in documents in the National Archives of Australia. So it was terminology that was used in Australia many decades ago. Now, in 1996, the Royal Australian Air Force, who for many decades was charged with investigating cases of, another term for you, unusual aerial sightings, UAS, that's what the Department of Defence called it back then, and Australia has almost as long as a history as the United States investigating this phenomenon. In 1996, the Australian Department of Defence, via the Royal Australian Air Force, cleaned its hands and said, move along folks, nothing to see here. There is no scientific or other compelling reason for us to continue to devote resources to the investigation and reporting of UAP. That was 30 years ago. And look where we are 30 years later in 2025. In the US Congress just last week, Congress held its 6th hearing in just over 3 years on this issue of UAP and trying to better understand the national security threats and safety of flight risks that UAP pose. Because we've heard from Congress and the United States Department of Defense time and time again that UAP is not an issue that's isolated to the United States. And it's mind-boggling that Australia, closest ally of the United States, our positions on UAP could not be further apart. Australia is not taking this topic seriously and is essentially fobbing us off and saying it's a problem for the United States. We're all good. We know it's in our airspace, when I don't believe that's the case at all. And Westall is a classic example of that.
The one name I do want to bring up in this session, though, is Robert Bigelow. So looking into the idea of crash retrievals and reverse engineering, while OSAP, that program, was active, the DIA's contractor, Robert Bigelow of Las Vegas, made a bold attempt to acquire physical proof of UFO crashes. It's been widely reported and suspected that Lockheed Martin is one of the contractors, the defense contractors, that has held this stuff, stored it away in secrecy, and tried to figure out how it works. I have confirmed on the record that Robert Bigelow and a trusted colleague from OSAP met with and negotiated with senior executives at Lockheed Martin and hammered out a deal wherein Bigelow's company, Bass, would receive a quantity of unusual material that had been stashed away and protected at a facility in California. That material was not made here.
Y anda por acá el pinche drone ese. Está muy acá el güey, esa chingadera, ¿no?
Güey, pues no se le ve ni una hélice, güey,
No, pues es una también chiquita. Pero está muy lejos. Está muy lejos, güey.
¿Va a ser un UFO?
Pues va girando.
Sí, va girando. Venga tú, güey. ¿Dónde estás?
It's too big to be a bag.
Bag or bat cannot be. It's too big.
Too slow.
Aliens.
Definitely. Should we call someone?
Maybe some balloons or
Right.
something.
Okay, balloons. They have a form of a balloon.
Eto, you saw aliens.
Not all the balloons have like shape.
Yes, Nestor.
Nestor. They disappear.
Because they are going to up.
But why don't we see?
I can still see a little bit. They are going more up and they will disappear.
Where?
Right down. I see them no more. No.
Eto. Vidjela si vanzemaljci sa strikom.
Evo i to ti je priredio.
Yo, that's cool. It could turn whatever direction it wants. That's pretty sick. The fuck is going on? The blue lights in the bottom left under the trees is just camera. Some bullshit. Okay, Mr. Supernova.
I have concluded in my 30 years of research that the human race is indeed a hybrid race. The evidence is literally overwhelming. And if you dig into it and you study it and you evaluate it seriously, you reach the same conclusions. Every major religious philosophy in our history, on every part of this planet, whether it's in Europe, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Hinduism, every major human religious endeavor has told the basic same story. The human race is a hybrid race. We have been created here. We were seeded here. And we have been genetically manipulated here from the very beginning of our recorded history. And that genetic manipulation has never ceased. It is still going on, as Cecilia likes to say, even as we speak. So, I reached that conclusion, and I will not argue with anybody about it. I simply say to you, look at the evidence. Apparently, this seems to be what has happened. Several 100,000 years ago, an intelligent race from somewhere else out there came by the planet, knew of the planet, stopped at the planet, and found a developing form of life here. Now, there are theories that the original seeding itself was done by an intelligent race from other places. But some of the theories have stated that this advanced intelligence was on an excursion, a trip, and they stopped off here and found a developing form of life and decided to manipulate that developing form of life into a higher form. And they've been involved in that off and on, but continually, for at least 100,000 years. When I studied anthropology some years ago, I always wondered why poor old Neanderthal suddenly disappeared in terms of time, a few centuries. And this new form, completely new form, which we call Cro-Magnon, appeared. What happened to poor old Neanderthal? Who is Cro-Magnon? Well, look around the room. You'll see Cro-Magnon here right today. But in terms of geology, in terms of anthropology, in terms of evolutionary theory, none of that seemed to make a lot of sense. You don't have evolution working that fast. Then there were other little curious things taking place. Why, about 5000 BC in Sumer, did all kinds of things happen at once? A literal eruption of civilization taking place in the Euphrates and Tigris and Euphrates valleys. I mean, civilization blossomed and bloomed almost overnight. The people were taught, or they learned, agriculture, irrigation. They built cities. They knew how to plant farms. They knew how to harvest. They knew how to develop intricate governmental systems. They developed a military idea. They developed a very intricate theological and philosophical philosophy. And where did this all happen? Why did it all happen literally overnight? Well, Zecharia Sitchin, in his absolutely monumental work, clearly has the answer. In the great Sumerian tablets, in the cuneiform tablets, which preserve the complete history of the Sumerian people, the evidence is all there. Sitchin is probably one of about 10 people on the planet who can sit down and read cuneiform tablets like you and I read the morning paper. The Sumerians told us how it happened, how it came to be, where they got the knowledge, who taught them the knowledge. And this fits, and I tell you it does, fit perfectly with every other story, myth, legend, history of every people on this entire planet. The human race is a hybrid. We were seeded here, and we have had what I like to call an intimate interrelationship with high technology, advanced intelligence for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, the crucial thing is that it's still going on. It hasn't stopped. They are still involved. And the big question has been, for many of us, is who the hell are they and what are they doing with us? Which ties in perfectly with the ancient philosophical questions that each and every one of us has asked. Who are we? Who are we? How did we come to be here? What are we here for? And where are we going? And this is, if you remember from your own teachings, education, in school or church, the basic questions that human beings have been asking since the beginning of time. Who are we? Why are we here? And where are we going? And now in the last 25, maybe 50 years, enough people on this planet have seen enough evidence. They have had literally some of the facts and some of the evidence rubbed on their nose. And the world, the people of the planet are slowly beginning to pay attention. And that to me is the part, the gratifying part, which has kept me involved in this and kept me committed in my small way to bring some of this information out. Not to preach to you, not to have a crusade of any kind, but simply to tell you that you are a special species. The carpenter from Galilee tried to explain it. Krishna tried to explain it. Mohammed tried to tell the story. Zoroaster tried to tell the same basic story. The Buddha even tried. Why is it that it's taken us so long to begin to grasp a little of the reality of who we are, why we're here, and what's going on? Well, my commitment to this thing has been growing over the years, and I will tell you that I'm involved in it, I'm committed to it, because I think that time is running out. I don't think it's going to be much longer before you see most of the answers. And the reason I share that with you is that I'm not trying to frighten you. And I'm not trying to preach or proselytize. I'm not trying to lead you in any direction. But I'm trying to say to you that in the next very few short years, you're going to be seeing things and you're going to be experiencing things that are going to literally change your life in ways you have never dreamed or imagined. You are going to learn who you are. You're going to find out why you're here, and you're going to find out where you're going.